The opinions expressed in this show do not necessarily reflect the views of Tampa Bay Arts and Education Network.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Connecting with Kim here on Tampa Bay Arts and Education Network. I'm your host, Kim Droege, and we're so glad that you joined us today because we have another great show coming up. So before we start, I want to encourage you to like and follow the Connecting with Kim accounts on Instagram, Facebook, and X. And that's where you'll find all the latest information about the show, about my guests, and of course my on-air wardrobe, which is provided by my sponsor, the Spring of Tampa Bay, who has been providing safe spaces and empowering services for survivors of domestic violence and their children for more than 4 decades. We love them, we appreciate them, and we want you to support them. So you can also find the audio of my show on Sun Radio 96.3 FM and on your favorite streaming platform Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3:30 in the afternoon. So don't forget to tune in. So I'm so excited because we have such a great show today, and someone I've been wanting to have on the show for a while. We've had trouble making our calendars agree, but now he's here and it's so great, so I won't delay any further. I want to introduce you to Mr. Nate Kilton, who is the mayor of Plant City. Welcome, Nate, to Connecting with Kim.
Kim, thanks for having me so much. This is exciting. This is fun.
Good. I'm so glad. Nobody ever has a bad time on my show, I have to tell you. We start this show every time the same way because I love to have my guests share as much as they feel comfortable with about their life journey thus far. So,
wow, thinking about it now brings me back. I grew up in a super small town in Vermont, Plainfield, Vermont, central Vermont area, on a dirt road 3 miles from pavement. Graduating high school at a public high school was 25 students in my class.
Wow.
So kindergarten through 12th grade was about 500 students. And that was in the early 1990s. I graduated high school in 1995. So, so kind of rural that even when I was growing up, we didn't have cable television, so I got, if I was lucky with the antenna, ABC and CBS, and no NBC, so I couldn't watch the basketball games that I wanted to watch, and finally got like DirecTV, I think when I was 16 or 17. So, but I had a great education there. Some of my classes, I might only have 9 or 10 students in the classroom with me, and a wonderful public school education. So as I was kind of wrapping up that time, trying to think about what I'm going to do after this, decided I was going to go off to college and just wanted to try something completely different. So what could be more different than going to Florida State University? So I had traveled down to Florida when I was a junior in high school and looked at some schools, looked at UF, FSU, and University of West Florida. And thinking back, I don't really remember why, but I only applied to FSU and West Florida. I got into both schools, and I thought if I'm going to make some changes, go for a bigger area. Tallahassee, huge compared to where I grew up.
Right.
You know, 1,700 people in my town.
Right.
And go to Tallahassee and Florida State. So I got an accounting degree there and met my ex-wife when I was there. And so through that, ended up moving to Plant City in about 2000 is when we moved here. So after college, spent some time with KPMG here in Tampa. Mm-hmm. So I was on the audit team with them, worked on clients like Shriners Hospitals for Children, Raymond James, Dankin Business Systems, and did that for about 6 years. And while I did that, I got a second degree in finance at USF and a master's degree from University of Tampa. Then I decided that I didn't want to continue to commute, and a lot of times mobility in some of the bigger firms, you have to, kind of be mobile, and wanted to stay in Plant City in the area, and had an opportunity to join my former business partner, Joe Sedita, in Plant City through our accounting practice there, which I acquired from him about 7 or 8 years ago. And so I own an accounting firm and a financial planning firm in Plant City. And it also gave me an opportunity to get involved in the community then. So Chamber of Commerce, all the Rotary, all the different activities that were difficult for me to do when I'm traveling all over the Bay Area. And it was through those opportunities that eventually evolved into coming on the commission for Plant City. So I had just wrapped up in 2014 being the chair of the Chamber of Commerce and kind of thinking about what's next for my community involvement, and there was an open seat available at that time, and that's when I ran for the city commission and got involved.
How many people are in the city commission?
There's 5.
5 people.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is so fascinating. So I love Plant City. So how many people constitute Plant City residents?
Roughly 40,000, give or take, in Plant City proper,
right?
But there's a lot of folks that live outside the city limits that still identify as Plant City. So we like to say kind of greater Plant City area would be 80 to 90,000 if you include, some of the, Hillsborough County folks that are maybe in the Dover area or up in Knights Griffin or, kind of south of town, but still Plant City folks.
Right, and they and their mailing addresses are Plant City, and they consider themselves Plant
City.
Yeah. Okay, so you became a commissioner. How long were you a commissioner?
So I just started my 9th year. So come on the commission in June of every year, so I'm just starting year 9.
Oh, so you're still on the commission?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me how you became mayor of Plant City.
So what happens is we have 5 commissioners, and the 5 commissioners each year appoint the mayor. So that's how the mayor is not an elected position. So, and it can change every year. So this is my 3rd year as mayor, as being appointed mayor, and
well, you must be doing a darn good job if they keep appointing.
We have a great team. So yeah, I'm no more important than the other 4 people. We just work well together. So.
Well, I think that's quite an honor to be appointed, year after year as the mayor. I mean, you're working with these 5 people, and you must be doing a good job as the mayor of Plant City. So,
it's a great vote of confidence, and I don't take it lightly. It's a big job, and I want to make sure I do it well. But people ask me all the time, what's it like to be the mayor? And when I tell them it's easy in Plant City, and it's because of the team that we have. At the Diaz, we don't always agree, right? But we do a very good job, I think, of building consensus. And when we disagree, we do it amicably, right? There's not a lot of infighting. We have similar visions for what we want to see for our community. What's great about it too is we represent the entire city. We don't have different districts, so we're not trying to do something for one particular part of town or whatever. It's the entire community that we're all interested in. And then you look at our leadership team in Plant City. Our city manager Bill McDaniel he's phenomenal. I would put him up against any administrator in the state of Florida. And the leadership team that we've built out from there, and how that just kind of permeates down through our entire team, it's not difficult for me to do the job that I do when we've got all those resources and the people all rowing in the same direction.
And how many people work on that team totally?
So we've got about, probably a little light on this, but our entire staff is probably about 450 to 460 people.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I didn't imagine it would be that low. But then when you're 40,000 people, I guess, that's not even, so it makes sense.
Yeah. So and that considers all of the different departments. So it's our Parks and Recreation department. It's all of our first responders. It's everybody on water and sewer, solid waste, all the way down the line, general services. So there's a lot of work to do, and they do a great job.
So tell me, what do you do as the mayor of Plant City and a commissioner? I mean, help people understand out there, because there's so much great about Plant City. So we could spend our whole time, the rest of the time, talking about what is so great about Plant City. I've been there many times. I love Plant City. Yeah,
so I like to equate it to almost like a corporation as our form of government. So we have what's referred to as a strong manager form of government. So the commission I think of as the board of directors, because it's not a full-time job for us. Like, for example, in Tampa, Mayor Castor, that's a full-time job. It's an elected position.
Right.
But in Plant City, it's a little different. So the commissioners, the board of directors, make me the chairman, but then as a board, we kind of set the tone and the vision and the expectations for the organization.
Okay.
And we make 3 hires as the commission. We hire our city manager, our city attorney, and our city clerk. Then we task them with, these are the initiatives that we want to see happen. City manager then goes out and hires the department heads. It's at his discretion. Obviously, he does it with feedback from all of us, and we just had some great hires on our police department recently. And then those department heads then fill out their teams and execute that way. So our job as the commission is to help set vision and make those hires, and then also work hand in hand with our local nonprofits, be out in the community, making sure that we're all working together, because government can't do it all.
No.
Right? So we have to have those strategic partners and making sure that we're all working well together. So it's building those relationships and those just those avenues of working well.
Now, are you setting, when you do the planning, are you setting a 1-year plan, 2-year plan, 5-year plan, 10-year plan? How long is the plan for Plant City?
So it is forward-looking in the sense that we're coming up on our budget season right now. We're about to start doing those workshops. So we have to be very forward-thinking about and strategic about a lot of items. We just passed an item not too long ago where we're looking at how we're going to deal with water resources in a very strategic and comprehensive way going forward. Now, it's something that we've always done, but we need to sharpen the pencil on it now that we've had so much growth and there's so many more things that are happening. So always trying to be forward thinking about we're growing. What do we need to do to enhance the team, add more folks? So, for example, we just recently hired a new chief of police and 2 deputy chiefs, which we didn't have previously.
Right.
Growing city,
Right.
need to be prepared for what's going to happen in the future. So budget's 1 year, but then there's strategic initiatives like that where we're thinking out, what do we need to do 5, 10 years? The same thing with Parks and Recreation, for example. There's a lot of projects that we have on the books that are going to take time to happen. Right now, everybody's looking for engineers. It takes time to come up with the plan and then the construction. And so you start something now and incubate it. It might be 5 years before it's actually ribbon cutting time.
Right.
So we're always being forward thinking about what needs to happen.
So what is the budget of Plant City?
This past year, it was roughly about 110 million.
Wow, okay.
Including all the enterprise funds and general fund and everything all the way around.
Now, do you how do you receive your money for the budget? Strictly from Hillsborough County?
No.
Okay, I want to understand that.
Right. So, and the different components, our enterprise funds, which operate like businesses, would be like water and sewer, for example, and solid waste. Those are user fees.
Right.
So that's how they strictly get the money. And you can't use those funds for general fund activity like supporting our first responders or Parks and Recreation, for example. They have to stay in silos. Then for our general fund, it's predominantly ad valorem and then also what we get from our sales tax.
Okay.
But we don't control sales tax.
Right.
We just get a portion, a certain percentage of it from different resources, which is why the CIT is so important to us, and that's coming up now on the ballot in November, and we really want to see that extended.
Right.
So those are the primary areas that we get our funding from.
Well, because there's a mayor of it's Plant City, there's a mayor of Temple Terrace, and then there's a mayor of Tampa,
Right.
and the rest of it is unincorporated.
Correct.
And so I'm so curious about, I didn't know how it happened, so I was very curious about how do you get a budget and where does the money come from?
Right.
Because it's not like you're a separate taxing authority.
Yeah, just for the property tax.
Right.
So we do have authority on raising or lowering that, and we are just a smidge more costly than what it is to be in Hillsborough County,
Okay.
than to live in Plant City when you look at property taxes.
Yeah.
But we're right there, and we're certainly lower than other jurisdictions. And on the budget cycle, I don't expect, my vote will be not to increase it. We've done very well with what we've got. I'd like to say in Plant City, we squeeze a nickel so hard we get a dime. Right? So we are very good on the expense side, and our CFO is amazing, and because we take it seriously, everybody does that. Hard-earned dollars, right? We don't want to take in more money than we need to, and we want to make sure that we're stretching that as far as we possibly can.
Well, and I love that fiscal responsibility because right now, the Tampa Bay area is getting so expensive to live in that people are actually leaving because they're like, I can't afford to live here anymore. Between property taxes, between
Rents.
Insurance costs,
Yeah.
rent, auto insurance.
Oh my!
I
Yes.
mean, I look at what happened to all those people from our recent storm, Debbie.
Yeah.
What happened to those people in
the Big
Southern
Bend
Hillsborough
area,
and Manatee County and Sarasota, and I go, oh, my word.
Right.
Places that never got water were just flooded.
Yeah.
So So what are the priorities for Plant City? I mean, what are some of the initiatives you all have set and see and want to have happen?
So when I think about us, I look at it in 4 pillars.
Okay.
Fiscal conservatism and responsibility, public safety, infrastructure, and then quality of life.
Okay.
So we just talked a little bit about the fiscal responsibility, and I think we do an outstanding job there. And again, I would put us up against any jurisdiction in the state of Florida when it comes to making sure that we're stretching the dollars and being reasonable about all that. But you have to have that first and foremost, because if you don't have the money, then you can't do the other things.
Right.
And then after that, it's public safety.
Right.
Because there's no other entity that's going to do that except for us.
Right.
So we've got to make sure that our police department, fire department are fully staffed, fully funded, have the resources that they need. And it's not just the dollars and the cents, but it's also the culture. I think we have a culture in Plant City where we have tremendous respect for our first responders, respect for authority of law, respect for our veterans and our military, and we try to make sure that that's communicated and well received, throughout our agencies. I mean, they are highly accredited. They're phenomenal people, men and women that just take really good care of us.
Right.
So after that then is infrastructure. It's water resources, it's taking care of the roads, those types of things. And in Florida, we only have so much water. Right. And
that's
so,
right.
And that's a big thing for us right now, is being very selective about the people that we work with. We want to have everybody that wants to invest in us. We would love for everybody to be able to come into Plant City.
Right.
But we have to be careful about those water resources because they're not unlimited. And we're seeing that around other areas of the state where they just are already tapped out.
Right.
So we're being very strategic about what we can do with some of those things. We've got this amazing project, McIntosh Preserve. It's 330 acres on the north side of Plant City. It's a great passive park already with miles of trails on it. We're going to expand for more trail systems, and that's a great resource. But the most important thing is that we're going to be doing wetlands restoration there.
Okay.
So we're going to be able to discharge up to 3 to 4 million gallons of reclaimed water into this area that's going to perk back into the aquifer and recharge the aquifer. Then we're at the cutting edge in Plant City on potable reuse. And that's going to be, people have to get past the yuck factor, but going forward, if we're going to have the resources that we need, that's going to have to be part of what gets on the table for how we're going to be able to have the water that we need going forward. So we're thinking about all those things. Then the quality of life is parks and recreation, for example. Our parks facilities in Plant City are above and beyond, and they're programmed 48 weekends out of the year. You can go out there and they're packed with families and children, and there's things for all ages, pickleball courts and, baseball fields and new community centers, splash parks, the passive parks. So you put all that together and that's the recipe for success. And it's just being laser focused on those areas and making sure that we're continuing to improve on them as things develop over time.
If you're just joining me now, my guest on Connecting with Kim is Nate Kilton, who is the mayor of Plant City and is also one of the supervisors. I didn't realize that. I thought you were just, so that's interesting. So you've lived in Plant City a long time now,
Right.
Based on the background information that you shared. So what would you say, give me the top 3 things that are great about Plant City.
Community feel. There's no doubt that when you go to Plant City, there's a sense of place, there's a sense of community. I love our downtown. I live in the historic district. I walk downtown all the time. My office is down there. I'm just romantic about it. There's something nostalgic about these old buildings,
Yeah.
and it's a labor of love to do it. Anybody that does it, there's no financial incentive to get involved in any old building, but people do it just for that reason, because of the history, because of the nostalgia, because there's just that sense of place. So our downtown is phenomenal, and that's one of the most wonderful things. And then again, just the community. Everybody rallying together, and churches, our nonprofits. You run into a lot of the same folks putting that same energy in there, wanting to improve the community and working together to make all that happen. And then you've got the space there. Right. Obviously, we're building more, and it's getting more populous, but there's still a lot of open space in and around Plant City, and the history of the agriculture and what that means for a community, and the core values that come along with that too, especially for our young people that are showing steers at the Strawberry Festival and growing up in that culture and understanding what it means to work hard, understanding what it means to build relationships with people, not being on their phones and being able to communicate, those types of things. So Plant City is a very special place, and love for people to come out and check it out for sure.
It really is. We should talk about the Strawberry Festival because, I mean, let's face
Right.
it, it's a big deal for Plant City.
It's phenomenal.
I go every year, and I think that the Strawberry Festival might be the only contact that people have with
right.
Plant City. So that's why I wanted you to tell me, as a longtime resident, what you think are, is the advantages of living or spending time in Plant City. I've been in your downtown area. I think you're really blessed with great restaurants,
Absolutely,
number one.
yeah.
I've never had a bad meal in Plant City.
And continuing to improve and evolve.
I know, and you have great little shops.
Right.
And I love how you still have that historic downtown
Right.
area with, everything that entails.
Yes.
And there still are some Florida cities that have that.
Right.
It's wonderful. Where they still have a courthouse in the square and, the whole thing.
Right.
I love that about Plant City. But let's talk about the Strawberry Festival, because how many people does that bring in?
Over the course of 10 days, approximately 600 to 650,000 people.
Wow.
It can be usually on the last Sunday. A lot of times it'll be over 100,000 people in just that one day. So it's enormous for Plant City, the economic impact. And so going back to this, some of the things that make Plant City special is that the festival has over 1,200 volunteers. There's that many people that come in and put their energy into the festival. Some people will be there all day, every day for 10 days straight to help to make it happen.
Yeah.
And it's not just that during that time. It's all year round that they have to plan. As soon as they're having the festival, they're having to book acts for the next year
Right.
and come up with ideas for making improvements. And then also they're so generous with the community because the money that pours back into, because they're a nonprofit, so they're also making donations to other nonprofits and other community events, renting out space for folks to use, that type of thing. And the dollars and cents that go into the pockets for youth there, and that's really what it's all about at the end of the day, is encouraging our youth and helping to give them opportunities is phenomenal in what they're able to do with it for their scholarship programs and for what they're planning on in the future. But it's also just not strawberry. So the Winter Florida Strawberry Festival is what it's known for, and Plant
Right.
City's known for strawberries.
Right.
But there's a lot that goes on agriculture-wise in Plant City that's above and beyond that. Big cattle industry. Unfortunately, citrus is waning, but that's statewide, and we know why that's occurring. Aquaculture, there's a lot of fish farms, there's a lot of nurserymen, growing, our ornamentals and all those types of things all over the area. So there's a lot that happens in agriculture in East Hillsborough County.
I had no idea
Yeah.
that number of people came to the Strawberry Festival
Yes.
and invade Plant City during that time, which
That's
is
right.
great.
Yes.
I mean, because that's like, all of a sudden you're having to accommodate all these people. That's
Right.
a tremendous strain on your infrastructure.
It is.
But you have to plan for it because it's such, like you said, such a moneymaker for Plant City. And the parade.
Oh, the parade's a ball. It's so much fun. Yeah, it was. I don't know exactly how far I live from the festival. It can't be more than 3 miles. But last year, Sunday evening, went down there for something, and it took me almost 45 minutes just to get from my house to the festival. But that's great. We love that because it means people are coming and enjoying themselves. And
they're coming from everywhere. I mean,
Right.
I think that the people that come to Plant City for the Strawberry Festival, they're not just Floridians. I
No.
mean, they're coming from,
Right.
surrounding areas because it has such a fun. Well, and if you go to State Fair, which I do because I love State Fair.
Oh,
so much,
absolutely.
the vendors that are at State Fair are leaving State Fair and
Going-
immediately
exactly.
going to Plant City.
That's right.
For the whole 10 days to enjoy that.
That's
and,
right. It just
and
works
the
out well.
food and all the stuff that goes on.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And you guys, you really bring in some top entertainment.
We do. It's it's been phenomenal the past couple of years, and it's going to continue to get better. What they've learned because they tour all of the festivals and fairs around the country,
Right.
especially some of the big ones.
Right.
And I don't want to speak out of turn for where they came up with the idea, but I believe it was when they were visiting, I think, the Minnesota State Fair, if I'm not mistaken, and they have a portable stage, so it can be adapted. And they're looking at the Florida Strawberry Festival, making that change because the acts need different setups now.
Right,
They need different
right.
technology and those
Right.
types of things. So that's going to be a big change that they're going to have that's going to accommodate different folks coming in and just continue along those lines as well. So.
And that requires investment, right? Because
Huge investment.
those things don't come cheap,
That's
right?
right, yeah.
And you're right. Acts today, if you look at the way it used to be when I was growing up and you were growing up
Right.
and whatnot, acts today, it's multimedia.
Right. It's
Yeah.
It's not just a microphone, and it's
No.
it's the lights and the sound and the screens.
Yeah, and
everything.
now they want to be, in the
Right.
round. They want to be able to,
Absolutely.
face all parts of what venue that they're performing in. They
Right.
want to interact with all those people, which I think is great. But
Yeah.
yeah, I can imagine it. It's a lot because generally the festival's on, in a set place on the grounds, right? So that must be hard for them to figure out how to come. But
Right.
I go to the governor's. Well, they used to call it the governor's lunch. They
Right.
don't call it
Yeah.
the Strawberry Festival Parade luncheon is what I think they call it
Right,
now.
yeah.
And we go every year, and I am always tremendously impressed with how they improve that every single year.
Right.
And I keep thinking, what more could you come up with? But they always manage to.
Well, and it's the evolution of things in Point City. That's what I was just talking about. As far as the city government being forward thinking and forward looking, the festival's doing the same thing, and we're also doing that in different areas like education, for example. We're having a career center built in Point City, part of Hillsborough Public Schools.
Yeah.
The first one in decades.
Wow.
And it's going to be a game changer for us. I think the impetus in a lot of that really started with Workforce Development Partners, Yvonne Fry and her team,
Yvonne Fry, yeah.
and Future Career Academy, which started in Plant City High School,
Right.
and is now countywide. And the whole goal of that is helping students that are not on the college track, which is the majority of students, helping them get connected with employers as they're in their senior year and starting to think about what they're going to do next. Now there's a career center that's under construction that, if all goes well, will be open and running August of 2025, where students can go to Plant City High School, for example, for half the day, do the English classes and some of those other classes, and then midday go over to the career center and maybe learn some welding or construction or those types of things, and that will be able to accommodate up to 900 students.
Wow.
And not just students that are in high school, but folks that have already graduated that might need to brush up on skills or get a career change or whatever the case may be, because we know that the labor challenge is huge in Central Florida.
Right.
And being able to get these skill sets in these trades, great opportunity for those that need a job and great opportunity for the employers. And that's another just example of how I think Plant City is on the forefront of trying to make some of these changes that are important, and it touches everybody when you do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's something that we're really excited about.
Oh, well, Nate, we're out of time, but I want to thank you so much for being my guest on Connecting with Kim today. And I can tell that you are just so passionate and love Plant City so much, and you couldn't have a better spokesperson.
Well, I appreciate that. It was a quick 30 minutes. I didn't realize it was going to go that fast.
Everyone says the same thing to me. It flies.
Well, you did a great job of facilitating, but in Plant City, it's a team effort, right? So I just want to thank everybody in Plant City, whether it's my team on the commission, my team at city government, our nonprofit partners, the folks that just make it a wonderful community. It's all 40,000 of us that make it a great place. So.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
We're out of time, but I want to thank you for joining us today on Connecting with Kim. My guest in the chair was Nate Kilton, who is the mayor of Plant City, and we are going to try on Connecting with Kim in the future to focus a little bit more on East County and particularly Plant City. And so I thank you for that. And we also want to give a shout out before we leave to our sponsor, the Spring of Tampa Bay, again, providing safe spaces and empowering services for survivors of domestic violence and their children for more than 4 decades. And they're doing a great job at it, and we are so grateful to them. So that's all we have time for today. Come back next week for another edition of Connecting with Kim. Bye-bye.